Is Fat Joe wrong for saying that hip-hop was started by blacks and Latinos?
Create means to do something that has never been done before. In the culture of hip-hop, there is no one person that created the culture as a whole. It was a combination of Caribbeans, African Americans, and Latinos, mainly Puerto Ricans.
What up, words? Your boy Charles Brown back again talking facts. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep sending those Cashaps to CLBMG gang. Listen, I want to get this out the way first. I want to get this out the way first so I can get rid of and shake off all the people who came for the direct answer, the quick synopsis. Fat Joe is wrong. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that so you can swipe to the next video. Right? The moment I wake up, you can go. You can leave. Fat Joe's wrong. This video is going to be extremely long because there's so much to discuss. I don't want nobody waiting around to see what I'm going to say or what I feel. Fat Joe is wrong. Okay? So when I start to speak on wider issues, bigger topics that are more expansive, and you start to say you're defending Fat Joe or you're defending insert name or what have you, I want you to rewind it where I said Fat Joe was wrong. All right? I want to have, because what's happening right now, what I'm starting to notice on YouTube, we're going to get into hip-hop itself. This thing is so expansive. What's going on right now is so big. There is no 15-minute video that can cover this, gang. I'm just going to be honest, right? But what I'm starting to see is a feeding frenzy. I don't like it. I don't like what these YouTubers, just the people I'm seeing, every video I'm going in on, no one wants to really have the conversation. Let's just have the conversation. So I'm gonna repeat it one more time. If you don't got no patience, then just check out. Fat Joe is wrong, right? So we can move forward. For all of you people that came to see me ripping the Fat Joe, Fat Joe's wrong. There's more nuance to this, right? I'm seeing these YouTubers, they're sharks. They got one of two takes. Really, they got one take. And it's just, let me eat Fat Joe for lunch. I'm going to disrespect him and everything he's ever stood for. I'm going to disrespect his legacy. I'm going to disrespect his records. I'm going to disrespect his mom. I'm disrespecting everybody. There is a one-sided conversation between black YouTubers on YouTube. I have not seen one, and I've watched many. I have not seen one that want to have a real conversation about hip-hop. Not even one. They're super over the top. They want to FBA you to death. They want to slander hip-hop itself. But they don't really want to talk to you. This is why you came here. I want to have a conversation about hip-hop itself. Fat Joe is wrong, right? But at the end of the day, we got to decide where this shit even started. Blacks and blacks created hip-hop. That is a fact. That is a fact. But more than one thing can be true, right? When I've ever watched anything, I am a child of the 70s. When I have ever watched anything about hip-hop, anything, there's at least one Latino in that video. Maybe two, maybe three, right? I'm just going to be honest. We're going to have the conversation because I'm black, gang. I don't know if you noticed. I went to Malcolm X Elementary School, right? I lived in Washington, D.C. But one thing I'm not going to do is lie to you. Not on purpose, right? If I make a mistake, then that's a mistake I made. I'll eat it, right? But I want to talk to you about hip-hop. See, we'll argue about the dumbest things, right? A hip-hopper, we're passionate, right? Hip-hoppers will argue about hip-hop. They'll argue about Kool Herc if he really created it. We will argue about anything. We love it. We love to argue. Let me read this. I want to read this excerpt about hip-hop itself, and we're gonna have a conversation about the whole culture. Like I said, Fat Joe's wrong. Check out. If you ain't got no patience, leave. Leave the chat. We good. The people that want to stick around, let's have a conversation. Hip-hop or hip-hop is a culture and art movement that was created by African Americans, starting in the Bronx, New York City, pioneered by Black American street culture that had been around for years prior to its more mainstream discovery. It later reached other groups such as Latino Americans and Caribbean Americans. Pay attention to what I just said. Latino Americans and Caribbean Americans, Jamaicans, Bahamas, people of that ilk, all over there that came to America. Immigrants, for lack of a better word, right? When you was in New York, especially in the Bronx, it's called multicultural, right? It's multicultural. You ain't gonna be in the Bronx and not see Spanish, Latino people, not see blacks, Jamaicans, people from the Bahamas, people from Cape Verde. You're gonna see it all. You're gonna see Dominicans, you're gonna see Asians, you're gonna see everything. You're gonna see Irish, people from wherever. You're gonna see them in the Bronx. I'm just gonna be honest, right? Now, somebody gonna come in my chat, Challz, you know them Spanish, them Latino parents, they didn't like those blacks. That's true, that is a fact, and vice versa, right? They wasn't jocking what we was doing. We was doing this, we was doing that. And they didn't like black people. Hell, they still don't, what we talking about? But at the same time, some of them kids did go breakdance with you, right? Let's just be honest. We're going to have a real conversation. See, a lot of people are knee-jerk reaction. A lot of these YouTubers scared to tell you some real shit because they scared. They scared to have the conversation. I'm just going to be honest with you, gang. You go back and watch any movie about hip-hop. It's all black people, but you got some people in there that's white. You got some Latino people, and you got blacks of different nationality of black. Every black ain't black, as the FBA will tell you that, right? But let's just continue. Let me continue reading, right? Hip-hop culture has historically been shaped and dominated by African American men, though female hip-hop artists have contributed to the art form and culture as well. Hip-hop culture is characterized by the key elements of rapping, DJing, turntablism, and breakdancing. Other elements include graffiti, beatboxing, street entrepreneurship, hip-hop language, and hip-hop fashion. From hip-hop culture emerged a new genre of popular music. See, people like me, we love this culture. We love hip-hop, right? It's the wackos that's talking about first week sales, and they not the culture. We're not talking about them guys. We're talking about the people like me that went downtown, saw dudes on on the cardboard and wanted to break dance with them. Ran to the movies to see Beat Street, breaking, rapping, right? Even though rapping was awful. Crush Groove, Fat Boys, all that. Disorderlies, all that. House Party, all that, right? Wild Style, right? So we was there, right? I was there. There were a lot of people involved. Now, the deeper conversation is, let me read this and we're going to have the conversation. The Bronx hip-hop scene emerged in August of 1973 when brother-sister duo DJ Kool Herc and Cindy Campbell hosted the first hip-hop party in the Bronx, sparking the rise of the genre. So let me explain what happened. DJ Kool Herc is credited for merging two records together to keep the party going. DJ Kool Herc is Jamaican. He came from Jamaica, and that style, history says, that style originated in Jamaica, of putting the two records, the parties back to back, to keep the party going. They were doing a dance hall type of thing. Kool DJ Herc converted that over to the music that we were using here in America. And him and his sister, which for years they argued that his sister name wasn't even brought up until the last 4 or 5 years. I'm just being honest. People may have said it, but the real argument didn't even start to the 50th approach, and they started saying you need to start giving DJ Kool Herc's sister Cindy some credit too. She gets overlooked. So let's just start there. So both of them, male, female DJs. Hip-hop culture has spread to both urban and suburban communities throughout the United States and subsequently the world. These elements were adapted and developed considerably, particularly as an art form spread to new continents and merged with local styles into the 90s and subsequent decades. Even as the movement continues to expand globally and explore a myriad of styles and art form, including hip-hop theater and hip-hop film, and 4 foundational elements provide coherence and a strong foundation of hip-hop culture. So, I say all that to say no one can debate that hip-hop started with African-American men, right? But I want to look even deeper because we're fighting about the wrong thing. We want to fight and say, who started it, right? He started it. This guy started it. This was an underground movement that was organically created. Some say because the gang fights in New York were so out of control, they had to find other ways to compete and get these guys from off the streets fighting and killing each other to compete using dance, break dancing, and things of that nature, which needed to be driven by a music, so that was the DJ. DJ needed his name to be recognized when he did his parties. I'm better than him. So he got a rapper to start shouting out saying, this is DJ such and such, da-da-da. The DJ was the focal point of these parties. These block parties, these parties at the rec center, these parties in the hood, at the clubs, wherever. The DJ was the focal point. The DJ drew the people in. The rapper was only there to talk about the DJ. As things progressed, the rappers started making names for themselves, and they became the forefront. It took a while, but they became the forefront. For a while, they used to have a DJ and a rapper at the same time. You never had a DJ without a rapper, and a lot of times, the DJ name was first, right? Eric B. and Rakim, DJ Marvelous and Cash Money. Like, it was this DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. The DJ name was first because they were the focal point. So I say all this to say, it was created, you could say, some people say it was created in the 1930s all the way up through the 40s, 50s, 60s with the bebop, and then it turned into hip hop, da-da-da. That's irrelevant, right? It's whatever. My whole thing is, if I make a baby, me and a woman make a baby, and we conceive that baby, nobody's there when we conceive that baby, right? Suppose it shouldn't be, right? That baby's created, is born. The day of that baby's birth, that baby starts to develop new skills, new relationships, new people. That baby comes out. The doctors grab him. The nurses grab him, right? The mama grabs him. The pops grab him. Mama and pop gonna raise that baby, but that baby goes to preschool. He got a teacher. She may be white. She may be Indian. She may be black. He goes to first grade, it's a different teacher. Second grade, different teacher. Different friends, different people. What is more important? The day that baby was created or that baby's journey, right? Let's talk about it. We get so caught up, right? And I want to talk about this whole thing of the FBA. They're going to take, like, Tariq. Now, I'm not doing a lot of talking about Tariq and Jason Black. That's not what we're here for. We're talking about hip hop. But I do have to, it's part of the story. Because Fat Joe went on to Math Hoffa once again, and he started talking about, he doubled down on saying, because what he said was Latinos were 50% of the creators of hip hop. He was dead wrong. I'm not going to argue that with nobody. He was wrong. But what Fat Joe was trying to say was we were there. Now, Fat Joe's ego was a little bit out of control because Fat Joe knows damn well that them Spanish kids was there, but a lot of them Spanish kids was on doing their Spanish thing. And a lot of those older Spanish people was not letting you play that in their house. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm just gonna be honest. And a lot of them Spanish kids got called a lot of names for hanging with them morenos or whatever they was calling us. So we not gonna act like that's not true. I'm just gonna be honest, gang. It is a fact. We understand the racism. There is a lot of racism. We're not gonna act like all of the Spanish people just loved hip hop, right? We're not gonna do that. It's just a fact. We're talking about old stuff, gang. This is the 60s, 70s, 80s. I guarantee you right now, you can't bring black people in some Spanish people's homes. I'm just gonna be honest. But that's not the point. That's not the point. Because some of them kids did what they wanted to do when they went outside. They put their fat laces in their Adidas. They wore their Levi's. They had their bubble goose, right? They had their raccoon hat, right? EK sunglasses, Adidas sweatsuits, fake gold chains in a lot of cases. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Some of them kids was there. And Tariq and a lot of people that's running with Tariq want to rewrite it and say that they wasn't. And they're using the narrative if they're trying to erase you. See, when people start saying that, first of all, hip hop ain't gonna never ever be erased. They're never gonna take it. They're trying to take it like they did rock and roll, right? Let me just say this at the risk of someone getting mad at me and cutting off the video. You could cut it off, but I'm still gonna say this respectfully. It's tough to say rock and roll was stolen. We didn't want rock and roll. I'm just gonna be honest. Black people don't listen to that. We threw that shit away. For bad, worse, or good, or nothing, we threw it away and gave it to them. I'm just gonna be honest. We moved on to soul. We moved on to hip hop. We moved away from it. That's why they own it. If you think that black people still wanted rock and roll, that we couldn't have it right now, you are insane. Huh? What? What'd he say? Black people, you threw that shit away years ago. You threw that shit away years ago. You got caught up in R&B, soul music, and hip hop. Just the same way you threw away jazz. See, people not gonna keep it a buck with you. Black people threw that shit away. We don't respect some of our things. We tried to throw hip hop away. That's why it's more realer overseas than it is here. We move where the money goes. I'm just gonna be honest. So now everybody's like, yo, black people created hip hop. What's the last breakdancing competition you watched? What's the last battle you watched? What's the last rap concert? I'm not talking about in a big arena, right? I'm talking about hip hoppers you don't even know. You went to see them. This thing survived because it became a viable money-grabbing situation, right? See, people like me love it. See, when I hear people that's 30, 20, 30, 40 years, some in 40s, when they try to tell me what hip-hop is, I'm like, first of all, you wasn't there. You're learning it from Google, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I watch a lot of stuff, learn a lot of stuff that I wasn't there. I wasn't there when Hitler was around. So I got to learn it some kind of way. But I can't tell somebody who was there what it was about. Hip-hop became the biggest. First of all, a lot of these blacks hated hip-hop when it first came out. I'm just being honest. See, a lot of y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Everybody want to take credit. We did it. A lot of these people in these comments don't know what they're talking about. Huh? Hip-hop was the pariah at one time. These jazz musicians could not stand it. These older people could not stand hip-hop. Older black people could not stand it. Don't get me started on the white people. They could not stand it either. They didn't want us at the wars. They didn't want us on TV, nothing. But now, everybody wants a piece of it because they can get a bag or they can claim this and claim that and get clout, whatever. My problem with what's going on is a lot of people are jumping in this hip-hop conversation that don't belong in it. Some of these people that I'm talking to have very little hip-hop credibility, but they the loudest voices. Y'all want me to get on here. I don't know nothing about Fat Joe's character. I don't know Fat Joe as a human being. I only know him from Fat Joe, from DITC, Digging in the Crates, You Gotta Flow Joe, all that good shit like that. Whatever he did over the past couple 20-something years, all I know him from is his music. Y'all want me to get on here and say Fat Joe's a racist. I don't know if Fat Joe's a racist. He could be, he could not. There's a lot of Spanish people that don't really feel that comfortable in rooms with us. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't know that, but what I do know is there were Latinos there, Latino people there. If a party is in the Bronx, you're going to have a multi-faceted type of people. I'm just being honest. So like I said in the beginning, Fat Joe was wrong. Fat Joe wording was wrong. Fat Joe is dead ass wrong saying it was 50% of Latinos that created hip hop. He is wrong. But what he's trying to say was we were there. Had he said it that way, a lot of these fake woke, right? And I'm going to say it again, fake woke people wouldn't even be commenting on hip hop. I'm just going to be honest. Some of these dudes that's talking about this shit don't even listen to it. Don't know it. Don't have a top 5, top 10. Don't know shit about it. When you tell me you don't think there were no Hispanics in the beginning, you sound crazy. And what's the beginning is what we need to talk about. The beginning. Right? What did we say in the beginning is? Is it August of 1973? Is that all that hip-hop ever was? Absolutely not. Because if the hip-hop that Kool Herc created on August of 1973 was all it ever became, then we wouldn't even be talking about it. It has to be bigger. It has to progress into something else. And that means many hands are injected into it. So the hip-hop that you're talking about is not the same hip-hop that was created. It can never be because it has to grow into something else. And to grow into something else, it has to absorb many different cultures, many different formats, many different styles. It has to involve itself into bigger things. It has to go down south. It has to go to the west. It has to go to France. And it has to incorporate different people. There are mad Latinos that were involved. There were mad white people that were involved. It's just a fact. And when these fake woke dudes try to rewrite history and make it like it was just black people in there, they are wrong. Because it wasn't just from 1973. This thing went to 83, 93, 2003. Where's the beginning? So what I'm saying is, when you have a beginning of something, it doesn't just stop that day. It grows. Right? And I'm going to say it again for the people way in the back. Fat Joe was wrong. African Americans created it. But what it came to be, it wasn't just an African American thing. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know it hurts your feelings. But we had mad DJs, we had mad break dancers, graffiti artists, mad everything, producers, managers, right? We had record labels that carried it from A to B that you would have never heard. Half of your hip hop stars that you love and revere would have never came out if that white man didn't put that pen on the paper, regardless of what happened after he did it, right? I can name 100 rappers you love that didn't get that record deal. They wouldn't have been a goddamn thing. They would have been in jail somewhere. So you can reminisce and you can make up this narrative that it's all one thing from the day Kool Herc mixed them records together and that's all it was. No, hip hop was out 10 years before we even had it all over the place. And it wasn't even all over the place. 73 to 83. Right? 83, we started getting Run DMC and LL Cool J in 83. It already had 10 years going of underground stuff going on. And a lot of that moved throughout the communities through different races. Do y'all know that when hip hop was very, 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 very young, they used to take it down to Manhattan, to the white people's clubs, and they would perform down there and get paid down there? For the white people. I want somebody to let me know when I start lying. That's why Debbie Harry is on one of the first records of hip hop, because they were performing it down there and she liked it. She's white. I don't know if y'all know that. So the pioneers, which it ain't one person, is more of them than Kool Herc, just being honest. Over them couple of them 10 years, will tell you, yeah, it was Latino guys here. There wasn't no 50-50. Fat Joe's wrong. I'm going to say it 100 times. It wasn't no 50-50. That's the problem. Wasn't no 50-50. That's what the problem. But what I'm telling you is they want to rewrite history for the narrative of 2024. Do you know that hip-hop, Melly Mel himself said this, Grandmaster Flash said this, they said hip-hop music was a mash of every other music. They took classical, they took rock, they took samba, they took everything, Latin music, everything. And if they found a beat and they found some type of break or something in it, they used it. And I'm just gonna be honest, some of them beats you love were Latin songs at first. Some of them beats they were breakdancing to were Spanish songs. I don't know if you know this stuff, gang. This is why you sound crazy when you rock with these dudes that don't know what they're talking about and they're trying to spin a narrative because the narrative sound good. See, these YouTubers don't want to tell you this. Probably because they don't know. But a lot of these guys are scared to say this stuff because they're scared of the comments. They're scared of the backlash. And it's easy to just attack Fat Joe. But this is bigger than Fat Joe. I hope the small-minded people checked out a long time ago. I hope they checked out a long time ago. Because we hitting a point where we're having a real conversation. And I'm not going to try to sit here and pander to you and tell you something that ain't true. This conversation is way too big for Fat Joe. It's way too big for Lord Jamar. It's way too big for Tariq Nasheed. Because they're touching the surface of this. It shouldn't even be an argument. It became divisive because of the way Fat Joe worded it. But they was there. And anybody that tell you they wasn't is lying. No, it wasn't 50-50, but they were there. A lot of them dudes were there. They were breakdancing. Let's just be honest. It's not a lot of Spanish rappers. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's just a fact. They wasn't rapping. It's a different kind of rhythm it take to rap. They wasn't rapping, but they damn sure was breakdancing. They damn sure was graffiti writing, and they damn sure was DJing. All right? I believe it was Cass. Grandmaster Cass, he said his best friend was Spanish dude and he was a DJ. Best friend. This is Grandmaster Cass is credited to being the first rapper in the world ever. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Cass is the one who got his rhymes taken from him for Rapper's Delight. So he knows what he's talking about. Go look up the Vlad TV interview, and he says, my best friend was a DJ. He was Spanish, and the Spanish people used to come to him and say, why are you hanging out with them black guys? And he would punch him in the face. And he said they were best friends for years and years and years. So what I'm trying to tell you is, yes, it's easy. I could have came on here, gave you what you wanted. Fat Joe's a piece of shit. He don't know what he's talking about. Hell no. No. I deal in facts, gang. I deal in facts. I know some of y'all gonna be like, Charles, what you mean that we gave them rock? Black people moved on from rock and roll. It wasn't no power struggle. Let me get that back. No, we didn't want it. The way these people talk about hip hop, you can tell a lot of them got their hip hop from magazines and the internet. And they think that they know hip hop because they like a couple songs. They know what song is #1 on the radio, right? A lot of these dudes wasn't there. A lot of these dudes wasn't there, right? I wasn't there in 73. I was a damn baby, right? But I was there in 1980, 81. And that's when it was still growing. Nothing is created in a day, right? Nothing. Not even Earth. Not even the universe. Nothing is created in one day. So when you say hip hop was created, how long are we talking about? Because it took 10 years before they even had it halfway mainstream. So in that 10 years is what we're talking about. And not only that, that 10 years, if it stayed where it was in that 10 years, it would already be phased out. So it had to change and progress, and new people had to put their foot in it from different places. So the argument people having, literally, to me, is psycho. Because we're still writing this history of this thing. If it just turned 50, that's a baby. There are musical instruments that are thousands of years old, just the instrument itself. Hip hop is 50 years old, allegedly. And we're fighting about who was there, who wasn't. This is what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna get out of here. No one's taking hip hop from black people because we got this. You can't take it, you can't steal it. When we want it, it's ours. We own this. So the narrative that this is how they begin to rewrite, who's gonna believe that? Right? Yes, speak the truth. Say, no, you're wrong, Fat Joe. But at the same time, this scary boogeyman thing where they're trying to write you out of history. I don't listen to nobody that's kicking that. Because they can't write you out of this. Because they got to say where it came from, where it started. They got to start that conversation, and right there, they're going to be already wrong. So they can't change the history. No one can change the history. The history is what it is. It's right there in black and white. Right? And the people like me that remember when they was there, when I was going downtown to going to Howard Homecoming to rap with dudes that I didn't know from a hole in the wall. It's like 10,000 people down there. They from all over the world, and we rapping with each other. We don't know we're doing ciphers. That's hip hop. We jumping in ciphers. We meeting. We exchanging numbers. We didn't even have cell phones back then. That's hip hop. There wasn't no internet. That's hip hop. That was hip hop. for the love of it. What nobody getting paid down there. You wanted to be there just because this is where it was. Howard Homecoming was it, right? I did a lot of stuff in the name of this music. I drove to New York a lot of times. I did a lot of stuff in the name of this culture that wasn't going to get me no first #1 on the Billboard. It was because of the music, bro. Did a lot of shows, did a lot of music, did a lot in this culture. And it irritates me when I know somebody that don't have no clue of this hip-hop thing. And they're going to sit there and argue with a dude. And I'm not saying Fat Joe is this or that or the third, but this dude was in the Bronx. And KRS-One co-signed it. Now, you're going to get divisive about that. I don't care, bro. I just need you to understand, I can't argue with a dude that was born and raised in the Bronx and got 50,000 people that's rocking with him in that area. I used to drive through New York. When you used to drive through New York, it's on the highway for, man, I want to say 10 years, 15 years. Soon as you hit New York, there was a big-ass building that had a big-ass mural of Fat Joe on the wall. Soon as you came in the Bronx, for years. And they would change it. It would change. Da-da-da. That thing was on the wall for about easily 10 years. And I'm lowballing. So you think if Fat Joe was this racist jerk that don't know what he's talking about, the Bronx will let him have that thing on that side of that building? I'm talking about the whole side of the building. You think the Bronx wouldn't have had a problem with that? But see, this is the narrative of YouTube. So I'm gonna keep it a buck. You can be mad at Fat Joe, knock yourself out. I don't care. I don't know this dude one way or the other. So whatever you feel about Fat Joe personally, knock yourself out. I don't care. I don't have nothing to do with it. It doesn't bother me. I don't have nothing to do with it. But I'm just here to tell you, so you won't sound crazy to people who really know what they're talking about when you try to say that it wasn't no Latinos in the beginning of hip-hop. I'm just being honest. And furthermore, the biggest issue that they're not talking about is who's black and who ain't black. I just told you DJ Kool Herc was from Jamaica. A lot of them dudes in that crowd wasn't from here. And you're going to say, well, the Jamaicans didn't like hip-hop either. No, they didn't. But somehow, some way, Kool Herc was from Jamaica and is credited for starting this. Grandmaster Flash developed the scratching, right? Listen. Keith Cowboy Wiggins, a member of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, has been credited with coining the term in 1978, which was hip-hop. He coined hip-hop, while teasing a friend who had just joined the U.S. Army by scat singing in alternation the made-up words hip and hop in a way that mimicked the rhythmic cadence of marching soldiers. So he was like, hip, hop, hip, hop. That's what he was joking with his friend. He had joined the Army. Cowboy later worked the hip-hop cadence into his stage performance. The group frequently performed with disco artists who would refer to this new type of music by calling them hip-hoppers. The name was originally meant as a sign of disrespect. Listen to that. See, everybody want to glorify hip-hop. That was a disrespectful term. Just like the word cowboy. Go look it up. But let me keep it moving. But soon came to identify this new music and its broader culture. So everything changes, gang. The term hip-hop was disco dudes clowning the rappers, the DJs, the breakers. Those were the disco guys who were on their way out who couldn't stand this music. So if you're going to say who created it, well, when they created it, it wasn't the same as it is now. So you're arguing about an art form now that has already made it, that has been built upon different races and all different kind of people have built on this thing, including blacks, right? And now it's this multi-billion-dollar thing. Y'all want to fight on YouTube about it. But it didn't start out that way. And a lot of people put pieces of that puzzle together. A lot of the magazines that we revere, white people was writing the magazines. Huh? What? Ooh, what? A lot of these radio stations that we love, they was owned by somebody that wasn't your complexion. So I need you to understand this thing was pushed forward by many different cultures. And it sounds good to say, yeah, it was invented, and it was invented by black people, but it was pushed by a lot of different cultures. I'm just going to be honest with you, and I'm going to continue this and move on, and we're going to be done with it. I hope all the people that want this narrative to say, so I can sit up here and disrespect all Latinos and Fat Joe and all the white guys and everybody else, I hope they checked out 30 minutes ago. Because I'm not going to pander to you. I'm not going to pander to you. I'm going to keep it a buck. As the name was getting established, the words were a signature part of some songs. The song Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang, released in 1979, begins with the phrase, I said a hip, hop, a hippie to the hippity, hip, hip, a hop, you don't stop. The 1980 hit Rapture by Blondie contains a rapping part with the line, and you hip hop, and you don't stop, just blast all sure shot. Lovebug Starsky, a Bronx DJ who put out a single, The Positive Life, in 1981, and DJ Hollywood then began using the term when referring to this new disco rap music. So all of this stuff morphed, gang. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. It was this, then it morphed into that, then it morphed into third, and then it was hip-hop, and then hip-hop got a broader thing, and people started using the term, and then it became hip-hop. It didn't just one day, all of a sudden, it was hip-hop. And for it to morph and get there, I don't know, it just said Rapture by Blondie. Blondie is a white group. It didn't just stay this little African-American thing in the Bronx like these new school, fake, woke dudes want you to believe. It was moved along by every single different kind of race. The moment I wake up. Listen, I need you to realize that we are going somewhere beyond all of this small talk about who race did what in the third. This is why we're going to stay consistently divided and divisive. No one is debating that African Americans, this is an African American art form, 100%. 100%. It ain't no debate. I don't know why we keep arguing about something that ain't no debate. Right? But just like anything else on earth, like basketball was a white people sport, dudes got in it and then dominated it. And now you think it's black, but that wasn't, it didn't start like that. So if you keep talking about who the greatest basketball player, and then you start talking about the first 5 white guys over and over that started playing basketball, then you sound crazy. So we can't keep talking about the first couple dudes that started it as if that was the entire context of hip-hop. It's not. It's bigger. It's bolder. It has mad things going on. And it has mad people that have fought for this thing to be all the way over in Europe like it is right now. It's in Bucharest. It's in India. It's everywhere. So no one's taking it away from you that African Americans started it, but they not the main reason that that thing is global and worldwide, worth billions of dollars. It was a bunch of different variables, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I want you to get in the comments, right? And have a real opinion about what was said, because I don't like how they dumb these things down to race. Life is bigger than race. Even the slave trade is bigger than race. Some of us turned ourselves into people to be slaves, and some of the people that helped us escape wasn't our color. So it's deeper. Everything's deeper. And when someone tries to get overly colorized viewpoints of things, then I have a problem with you. I'm just being honest. I don't know what you want me to tell you, right? As soon as Malcolm X woke up, they killed him. Let that sink in. I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine.
BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.